You're listening to the Culips English podcast. To download the study guide for this episode, which includes the transcript, detailed vocabulary explanations, real-world examples, and a quiz, visit our website, culips.com. Culips.com. Hello, everybody. My name is Andrew.
And I'm Jeremy.
And you're listening to Culips. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Culips episode. Today, we have an edition of our Catchword series for you, which is the series where we teach you all of the really interesting and important English slang, idioms, and vocabulary. And today, I'm joined by my trusty sidekick, Jeremy. Jeremy, how's it going?
Pretty good. I am happy to be your sidekick for this episode.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. So, Jeremy, today we have two expressions that we're going to teach everyone. And these expressions are related to feeling trapped or cooped up.
Cooped up. That's
cooped
a good one.
Up. Yeah, you could imagine, a home for a chicken we call a chicken coop, right?
Yeah. Or even a small car also. I've heard that before.
It's a different spelling, though, I think. That one is C-O-U-P-E. This one is C-O-O-P. But the image is the same, right?
Yeah, it's a small car.
A small car or a small confined space where a chicken lives. If you're cooped up, you're kind of trapped in that space.
Yes, in a small space.
All right. So today we're going to teach everyone these two cool expressions to talk about being trapped, even though that's not a very cool feeling at all.
Just in case any of you are ever feeling trapped, you can use these expressions.
That is right. But just before we get into the nitty-gritty of today's show, I want to let everyone know that there is a study guide for this episode. It's available on our website, culips.com. So guys, if you're interested in studying along with that, and we do suggest that you try it out, just visit culips.com to give it a download. Okay, Jeremy, what's our first expression for today?
Our first expression today has a dash in the middle of it. A dash.
A dash, like a line.
A short line. The expression is stir crazy. So stir like you stir a soup or stir a hot coffee when you put cream or sugar in it. And crazy. So stir crazy.
Stir crazy. And I did a little bit of research about this expression, stir crazy, and I learned that it was originally used to describe a psychological condition that prisoners feel. So if you're stuck in a prison cell for a long time without any interaction from the outside world, then you can go stir crazy. I'm not exactly sure of why we say stir for stir crazy. The first image that popped into my head was maybe of a prisoner like walking around in his cell.
Yes.
And you get that sort of rotation that kind of looks like a stirring image. But yeah, I could also think of maybe somebody just deep in thought, right?
Yeah.
Thinking the same thing over and over, maybe something stirring in their mind. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there must be a connection there, because when I hear this phrase, to me it relates to boredom or extreme boredom. So when you have nothing to do, sometimes people do very repetitive activities like twiddling their thumbs or, bouncing their leg or something like that.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the image that comes to mind.
So I think you hit the nail on the head there with boredom, because these days when we use stir crazy in, more of a conversational context, we can use it to talk about prisoners, of course, but we can also use it just to talk about our own personal feelings when we feel bored or when we feel like we've been trapped at home for too long. Maybe you've been at home for a couple days and you just want to get out there and see your friends or do something social. You can say, "Oh, I'm going stir crazy."
Yeah, like especially if you've had surgery recently, like on your foot or your knee or something, so you can't walk or move very easily, but you have to stay inside.
Right.
That's a good situation to use this expression.
Or if you're Canadian like I am and you're stuck inside during a blizzard.
Yes, exactly.
The weather is terrible and you can't go outside. And it doesn't have to be snow. It could be heat or any kind of weather that keeps you indoors.
I imagine if someone had the flu, for example, a very bad case of the flu, I don't think they would use this expression, because when you're sick, you physically feel bad, so you need to rest. But if you had knee surgery, for example, your mind is awake and alert, you feel fine, you just can't move. And in that situation, like a prisoner in jail, right? They're totally consciously awake, but they can't move, so they go stir crazy. We often use this expression with go.
Right. Go stir crazy. And that's an excellent point. It's all about desire, right? It's a desire to get out of the house, but you can't because of some reason. So exactly. If you're sick, you don't really desire to go out. You just want to stay home and take it easy.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeremy, I think we are ready for some usage examples with this expression. So let's take a listen to the first one. Dude, we've been playing video games now for like 5 hours. It's such a nice day out. Let's go grab some fresh air.
Good call, man. I'm starting to go a little stir crazy in here.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, let's go to the park and throw the ball around.
Yeah, man, let's do it.
In this example, we heard two friends talk about how they're going stir crazy because they've been sitting inside all day playing video games. And because they're going stir crazy, they want to get some fresh air. They want to go outside. So they decide to go to the park and play catch, throw the ball around. Jeremy, this may have been inspired, this example, from my teenage years.
I was going to say, this sounds like a real life example.
Where I would play video games for hours on end.
Yes, I did that too. All night, once or twice.
I'm sure I had a couple all-nighters as well.
So in this example, both of these people have the ability to go outside, but there is something keeping them inside, and that is the power of the video game, the magnetic power of video games.
Yes, the addictive power. Yeah.
So should we listen to one more example?
Let's do it. Okay.
Hey, you want to grab a beer after work?
I'd love to, but I gotta head right home so I can take my dog for a walk.
Oh, I didn't know you had a dog.
Yeah, he's awesome, but he goes a little stir crazy staying at home all day. If I don't give him some exercise, he'll rip my house apart.
In this example, two coworkers are talking about going to get a beer after work. One of them says he can't go because he has a dog stuck in the house at home going stir crazy. So you can see here that even animals can go stir crazy. They have the ability and the desire to go outside, but something is not letting them. And in this case, it's the owner who hasn't unlocked the door.
And listeners, this example was actually inspired by a real life event because I was recording with Suzanne, our other Culips co-host, recently, and she has a dog. She has a duck tolling retriever, I believe, is the type of dog. And so this is a very active dog.
Yeah.
And while we were recording, the dog's name is Skoshi. Skoshi started scratching at the door and was kind of going stir crazy to be let outside. So Suzanne told me, "Oh, Andrew, hold on 1 minute. I got to let my dog out. He's going stir crazy." And then I had the idea for this episode.
There we go. Nice.
I brought it all together. So thank you, Skoshi and Suzanne, for the inspiration.
This episode brought to you by Skoshi. Skoshi the retriever.
Skoshi the retriever. A very cute dog, I must say.
So we have one more expression that means something very similar. Pretty much the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Cabin fever. Cabin fever.
A cabin is like a small house, usually made of wood, and often in the forest area or somewhere away from a major city. You can't have a cabin in the middle of a city.
No, you wouldn't see a cabin in the city. It's always, in the forest, in the woods, in the mountains, in a remote place.
However, sometimes I've seen restaurants that are cabin themed. So the building looks like a cabin. A log cabin, we often say, if the cabin is made of logs.
Exactly.
But in general, these are outside of the city, far away from the hustle and bustle of the city.
Yeah, in Canada, many families own a cabin that they will visit in the summer for vacation. So, camping is a little bit uncomfortable, sometimes sleeping in a tent. So you can have a cabin near a lake. It's kind of like a little vacation home, but they're quite basic. They're small. They're not as fully equipped as a home.
I imagine just a square house. No special rooms or hallways or stairways usually. When I think of cabin, I just think of a small square house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Small, square, basic house that is in the forest.
So this is important because similar to how a prisoner can go stir crazy in a jail cell, which is a small square space, right?
Mm-hmm. Confined
space. With this expression, one can get cabin fever. So we use this with the verb get, to get cabin fever, or have cabin fever, like it's an actual disease, an actual fever of some kind.
Just like an illness, yeah. That's how we use the expression.
And a very closely related expression, pretty much the same actually, is island fever. I have a friend who lived on the island of Hawaii for a couple years and is now in the process of moving away from the island.
Okay.
Because she got a case of island fever. This is the same concept, but on an island, because you can't go anywhere else. You can only be on that island. There's this fever, they say, that people get, or a feeling of being confined, a frustration, sort of, that people who live on an island can get. So it's the same expression, just a different version.
Just a different context, but the same feeling that you're trapped. And Jeremy, I should mention that cabin fever, the origin of this expression is related to being stuck in a cabin during the winter. So hunters would go into the forest to hunt and have to stay in the cabin during a snowstorm. And sometimes the snowstorm lasted for days and days and days, and they couldn't leave the cabin. And, there's no electricity, there's no internet, there's nothing to entertain yourself with. So you'd get a case of cabin fever. You'd go stir crazy at the same time, actually.
Mm-hmm. These are used in pretty much the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
But cabin fever, to me, relates more to a situation where you are confined in a small space.
Right.
But stir crazy, like in our first example, can be caused by a video game keeping you inside. I wouldn't say we've been playing video games all day, I'm getting cabin fever.
I think you could, though. I think you could.
But that sounds to me like I'm tired of being stuck inside.
Right.
Whereas stir crazy is just kind of like, I'm tired doing the same thing. I'm tired of doing the same thing.
I think that's a good distinction, but I think it's probably important for our listeners to know that I don't think native speakers think about these too deeply.
They don't.
I think when we're when we're using these expressions, most of the time they're interchangeable.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So with that being said, Jeremy, why don't we get to a couple of examples using cabin fever?
Let's do it.
All right. How was your day today?
It was good. It was good.
Yeah, what did you get up to?
I just worked on editing a video for most of the day, but then I started having a bit of cabin fever, so I went out for a walk.
A little bit of fresh air takes care of that. No problem.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I should get back to my video.
Yeah, for sure. See ya. So in this example, we heard two friends who ran into each other while they were out for a walk, and they exchanged pleasantries. You know, hey, how's it going? I'm good. How are you? And then we heard the conversation start with, how was your day today? And one of the friends had spent all day inside doing some video editing. And because of this, he felt like he was getting a case of cabin fever. He felt like he needed to go outside and get some fresh air just because he was a little claustrophobic from staying inside all day. So he went out for a walk, and that's where he met his buddy, and they had that conversation. Jeremy, I've had cabin fever from doing audio editing all day before.
Yep. In fact, yesterday I spent probably 7 hours in a cafe working on a video.
Oh my gosh.
For a project. So
so you know what this is all about.
This is how I felt yesterday.
Let's move on to the final example for today.
All right. Dude, did you hear about Lisa's accident?
No. What happened?
She fell off her bike and broke her leg.
Ouch.
Yeah, she'll be okay, but she can't get around very easily right now, so she's just resting at home. I'm worried she'll get cabin fever, so I was thinking about stopping by to visit her. You want to come?
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'll come with you.
In this example, two cousins are talking about one of their other cousins, Lisa, who broke her leg. She can't move around very well and is stuck in the house. So these two decided to go pay her a visit.
Yeah, because they're worried that she might get cabin fever, right? If you have a broken leg, you can't really move around. You're not very mobile. So I think this is a situation where we use this expression a lot when somebody's sick or is injured and they can't get out and about.
Usually when they actually want to go outside, but can't.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So if someone had the stomach flu and was throwing up, maybe not.
Right, but maybe if somebody had a more serious illness where they were stuck in a hospital, they could feel cabin fever. Maybe if you had cancer or something.
Definitely. Would you say that it's impossible to get cabin fever if you're stuck outside?
Wow, deep question. No, I could say, I've never thought about it. If you're stuck outside.
Like if you're lost in the forest for weeks
Yeah, no, you wouldn't get cabin fever in the forest.
Right.
No.
Right?
No.
It's impossible.
It's
I think it
impossible.
does have to do with the being in a physical place that is sort of small.
Yes, exactly. You need walls around you. You need to have that
Yes.
feeling of being a little bit claustrophobic.
Yes, claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Good word.
Cool.
Claustrophobic is a phobia or a fear of being confined in small or tight spaces.
So thank you everyone for listening. We hope that you learned a lot from this episode. Once again, our website is culips.com and our email address is contact@culips.com. If you would like to support Culips, you can do that by visiting Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Stitcher or Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to Culips, and leaving us a 5-star rating and a nice little review. And we're also all over the place on social media, on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, we're there. Just search for the Culips English Podcast and you can find and follow us. That is it for us. We'll catch you next time. Bye, everyone.
See you next time.